You ever have one of those moments where your entire world changes in the span of a single breath? I'll never forget the way my hands shook that morning watching my 7-year-old son collapse on the kitchen floor, his lips turning blue, his breathing shallow, his life slipping away right in front of me. The insulin I'd given him, the same routine shot he'd gotten 100 times, was killing him. And just a few feet away, Karen, our HOA president, stood there, that smirk on her face like she'd finally won some twisted game. What she didn't know, not then anyway, was that she'd just tried to murder the son of the CIA director. Yeah, that happened. And 4 minutes later, the full weight of every federal agency in America would come crashing down on her perfect suburban life. Let me back up a sec. 3 months before all this, I thought I'd finally found the place where my son Tommy could just be a kid again. Pinewood Estates. Picture-perfect lawns, picket fences, neighbors waving from their porches. At least that's what the brochure promised. Tommy was 5 when we got the diagnosis, type 1 diabetes. That means every meal, every hour is a math equation, and every night you hope you don't wake up to an emergency. He took it better than most adults would learn to check his blood sugar like it was no big deal, counted carbs like a pro, never complained that he couldn't eat cake at birthday parties. His resilience honestly humbled me. The neighbors seemed to like us at first. Tommy was always out there riding his bike around the cul-de-sac, calling out to anyone and everyone with that big infectious laugh. For a while, I thought maybe, just maybe, we'd finally caught a break. But then there was Karen Whitmore. She ruled this neighborhood like a dictator, living in the biggest house on Maple Street, her yard so perfectly trimmed, you'd swear she measured every blade of grass with a ruler. 6 years as HOA president, and she turned what should have been a friendly community into a little suburban surveillance state where folks jumped at their own shadows, terrified of fines or her icy stare. Now, to everyone in Pinewood Estates, I was just David, a widowed dad doing his best after cancer took my wife. My cover was consultant for government agencies, nothing fancy. The truth, I was 2 years into my gig as director of the CIA. But I kept that quiet for Tommy's sake. Security and all that. Things started to unravel with a letter on our doorstep, HOA letterhead and all. Karen's signature underneath a complaint Tommy's glucose monitor was visible on our porch, and that apparently was ruining the aesthetic. She wanted all medical equipment kept strictly indoors. I'll be honest, I laughed at first, but that laugh died real quick. I tried to handle it like a grown-up. Walked over to her place, explained the whole medical thing, figured maybe if she understood she'd back off. She stood there, pearls and hairspray, and gave me this tight little smile. "This is a premium neighborhood, Mr. Mitchell. We have standards." She said challenges like it was something you scraped off your shoe. I tried to bring up the ADA said his medical needs took priority. She just waved me off. "This isn't about the law, it's about mutual respect." The look in her eyes told me everything. She didn't see a little boy fighting for his health, she saw an inconvenience. From then on, it was open season. Letters about Tommy's bike, then about our service dog Ranger. A golden retriever so mellow he barely barked, but Karen claimed he was a nuisance. She wanted paperwork, then questioned the paperwork. She started watching us, literally installed a camera pointed at our house. She tracked when Tommy played outside, how long, even timed our dog's bathroom breaks. Tommy got jumpy. That big, fearless spirit. It started to fade. The other neighbors either kept their heads down or got sucked into Karen's drama, signing her petition to ban disruptive medical equipment from public spaces. Most said no, but enough signed that Tommy started asking me, "Dad, why doesn't Mrs. Whitmore like me? Did I do something wrong?" How do you tell a kid that some people are just cruel without killing his hope in humanity? Things hit a new low at the summer barbecue. Tommy loved that event, practiced his social skills for days, wanted to show off his new glucose meter. We show up and there's Karen holding court, ranting about property values and high-risk residents. The second she sees us, she turns to the crowd and says, "The medical emergency family has arrived," right in front of everyone. Tommy's face flushed red. He tried to shrink behind me. I felt every muscle in my body tense. She walked up and told me in her official HOA voice to keep Tommy's supplies away from the food. "We can't risk contamination," she announced, as if insulin was radioactive. I kept it together barely. "That's not medically necessary. His supplies are safe." She went louder, made it clear. Maybe you should consider if this community is right for your family's unique needs. That phrase, unique needs. She wanted everyone to hear it. I looked down, saw Tommy trying not to cry, and something inside me snapped. I got us out of there. Her voice still ringing out behind us, talking about reality and what's best for everyone. She had no idea reality was about to catch up to her. I was done with playing nice. I started documenting everything: cameras, recordings, lawyer consultations. Karen, she doubled down. Called the health department, claimed Tommy's medical waste was dangerous. Harassed the school, tried to get him excluded from field trips. Everything calculated, always just shy of breaking the law. But then came that morning, the one that changed everything. Tommy was excited, chatting about a science project, wanting to do his blood sugar check on the porch, just soaking in the sunshine. I prepped his insulin, but I noticed it looked off, cloudier than usual, weird little particles floating in there. I almost stopped, but then my secure phone buzzed, emergency overseas. My head was spinning. I figured maybe it's just a new batch, it'll be fine. I gave him the shot. Minutes later, Ranger started whining a specific whine, one I'd learned to trust. I ran outside. Tommy was slumped on the steps, clammy, barely conscious. His blood sugar 32, way too low. I squeezed glucose gel into his mouth, dialed 911. But something about it felt different, more violent than his usual crashes. While waiting for the ambulance, I grabbed that vial, checked it under the light. There were definitely foreign particles in there. I knew in my gut someone had poisoned his insulin, and only one person had both motive and access. The EMTs took one look and said, "This isn't typical." They got him to the hospital, stabilized him, but I was running on pure adrenaline. Called my deputy director, James. "I need forensics on this insulin. Now." Within 20 minutes, black SUVs in the driveway, agents everywhere. Analysis came back: bleach ammonia compounds, cleaning products. If I hadn't caught it, Tommy's organs would have started failing within hours. The evidence built up fast. Surveillance footage, Karen sneaking into our yard at 3 a.m., tampering with our supplies, discarded vials in a dumpster, her computer history searches on how to poison insulin, how to make it look like an accident. This wasn't just a fit of rage she'd planned, it researched it meant for Tommy to suffer. Multiple vials meant she intended to keep at it, slowly killing him over weeks. My kid. The hospital called Tommy would make a full recovery only because we'd caught it in time. I sat with him, watched him sleep, that little hand in mine. "Who would do that, Daddy?" whispered when he woke up. I could barely answer. By now the machine was in motion. FBI, ATF, local police, arrest warrants, media outside Karen's house. At 6 a.m., while Tommy finally slept peacefully, the feds rolled up. She didn't fight. They told her she'd tried to murder the son of the CIA director, and she just broke. Catatonic. Never saw it coming. News spread like wildfire. Parents, disability advocates, the entire country lit up with outrage. Tommy's hospital room filled with cards, stuffed animals, flowers from people we'd never met, people who just wanted him to know they cared. A detective from the local PD came by and said Mr. Mitchell, Karen had files on 6 other families with special needs kids. Your son wasn't the only target. The case exploded. Federal prosecutors looked at hate crime charges. The HOA board resigned, apologized, paid for Tommy's medical bills, set up a scholarship fund in his name. Tommy got out of the hospital 3 days later, a little thinner, a little quieter, but somehow still hopeful. "Dad, why did she want to hurt me? I never did anything to her." I pulled over, faced him, and said the truth. "Some people carry hate, buddy. It's not your fault. You did nothing wrong." He was quiet, thinking hard. "I hope she gets help so she doesn't hurt other kids. That's my boy compassion, where most grown-ups would want revenge." The trial hit national headlines. Karen's lawyers tried every excuse: stress, mental illness, but the evidence was overwhelming. Tommy asked to speak at sentencing. He looked her in the eye and said, "I forgive you for putting bad stuff in my medicine. I hope you can learn to be nice to kids like me." The judge gave her 25 years, called Tommy's forgiveness a light in a dark place. Even Karen broke down, finally facing what she'd done. 6 months later, the neighborhood was unrecognizable. New leadership, new policies, accommodations, inclusion, diversity, celebrated. Tommy became a bit of a local hero, known not for his diabetes, but for his courage. Kids who used to avoid him now thought his equipment was the coolest thing, begging him to show them how it worked. "I'm like a scientist," he'd say, beaming. That one terrible act ended up sparking national change, stronger laws, better protections, real conversations about what it means to accept and support our most vulnerable. On the anniversary, Tommy cut the ribbon at the new research center that bore his name, watched by families who understood all too well the fight we'd been through. Karen serving her time reportedly in counseling. Maybe she's found a sliver of redemption, maybe not. But Tommy, he wakes up every morning, checks his blood sugar in the sun. Ranger at his side, still the bravest soul I know. I look at him and realize sometimes it takes the worst of humanity to show us the very best. Now you tell me, was justice served? Did the punishment fit the crime? Or is there more we should be doing to protect families like mine? Drop your thoughts below. Let's talk about what it means to choose kindness over hate and why fighting for each other matters.